Last weekend, Kyle Busch had the best chance of this season so far to bring home a victory. The number 8 was leading the race during the start of overtime, but a silly error cost Busch and allowed Harrison Burton to beat him on the last lap and take the race win. Kyle Petty went on to completely thrash Kyle Busch for his seemingly inexperienced drive in Daytona. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest content on NASCAR. Don't miss out on the action. During the last race in Daytona, Kyle Busch was leading the pack during the final overtime restart of the race. As the race resumed, he was able to get a good launch and continue with the lead. But Burton, who was behind him, was able to get a decent draft and use it to get ahead on the final lap. Busch did fight back and came really close to taking back the lead, but his efforts went in vain as Burton took the checkered flag. NASCAR commentator Kyle Petty thinks that Busch drove horribly during those final laps that cost him the win. Has he forgotten how to speedway race? What in God's name happened? He has control of the race on a green-white checkered. Petty said Monday. He has the inside line, and he gets there with his friend Christopher Bell, who's gonna help him because they were teammates at one point in time. They take the green flag, they take control of the race. They run on the bottom of the racetrack that first lap. Harrison Burton and Peter Retzlaff in the number 62 car, who had the biggest influence on the outcome of the race. Yeah, I know he finished 7th, but he changed the complexion of this race. They come back around, taking the white flag. They come off turn 2. Kyle Busch is on the inside, and who comes up on the outside? Harrison Burton with Parker right behind him, slamming him into the front. As soon as Harrison Burton gets to the front, he pulls it down and he blocks Kyle Busch. Has Kyle Busch never watched Joey Logano or Brad Keselowski take control of a speedway race? Does he not know what video is? Somebody needs to send him a DVR, whatever it is. Send him some old race footage so he understands this. Since Busch was leading the race during the start of overtime, he will naturally have the inside line, which is preferred during a restart as it's the shortest way around the corner. If done right, the driver can easily stay ahead of the cars behind. To add to the advantage, Busch had his old teammate and friend, Christopher Bell, right behind him to give him the push he needed to win the race. However, during that final lap, Busch gave up the inside line and allowed Harrison Burton to get past. And Burton did exactly that. To add to the troubles, Burton perfectly executed a pair of blocks to keep Busch behind him during that final lap. This secured the win for Burton and kept the number 8 in second place. This mistake was a bit surprising as Kyle Busch is not exactly a young driver, nor a driver who has not been successful. Busch has won 2 Cup Series championships and has been driving in NASCAR for over 20 years. There's no doubt that he knows what needs to be done to win a race. Despite this, he made the stupid error and cost himself and RCR a race win to qualify for the playoffs. After the race, he said, "It's just frustrating. We've led races here at Daytona going into the last restart and haven't been able to pull off a victory," Busch said after the race via Dustin Long of NBC Sports. "Not sure what it is, what I'm doing wrong, or what it is that I'm missing. It seems like the energy broke up off of turn 2 and the number 20, Bell, got crooked and wasn't on my rear bumper the way we needed to be. The outside line just went by. I wanted to get up in front of the number 21, Burton, because I knew the momentum was coming there. But I knew the number 20 was a better friend. It just didn't work out. Once we got to turn 4, there just wasn't enough energy in our cars from behind me. I was relying on my own draft to try and pass the 21. That happened so slow that every Charles could walk that. So besides wrecking him, nothing to do. I could have jumped up in front of the 21 and probably taken that. But I don't know that he would have kept straight on me. I had more trust in the 20 there being a better ally, but it didn't work out," Busch explained after having to settle for a P2 finish. Kyle Busch was completely relying on Christopher Bell to help him win. Well, if he wanted to do that, he should have maintained his momentum and stayed in front of Bell without wavering, but that didn't happen. When Busch switched to the outside for a brief period of time, Bell did have the opportunity to take the lead of the race, but he decided not to do so. Bell instead gave Busch as much help as required to get the race win. Besides, Bell has already secured a playoff spot for himself with 3 race wins this year. Despite the help he received from Bell, Busch was just not able to hold the lead after his small but vital mistake. There's no doubt that this year has been Busch's worst year in NASCAR. Until the last race in Daytona, the number 8 has never even come close to a race win. Despite having a Chevy car, RCR and Busch have not been able to get the right setup to take the challenge to the leaders. But it seems as though they have made some right decisions in the past few races. Just a couple of weeks back in Richmond, Busch's RCR teammate Austin Dillon went on to win the race. However, he also screwed up in the overtime restart and allowed Logano and Hamlin to pass. But Dillon intentionally took out both the cars to secure his win. Although he got the win, Dillon and RCR were stripped of their playoff eligibility. Wrecking other cars to secure a race win is more common in NASCAR than one would think. But in this scenario, Dillon's spotter yelled out, "Wreck him," as Hamlin was trying to get past. Since the incident was blatantly intentional, NASCAR decided to penalize both RCR and Dillon. Ideally, Busch might have wanted to slightly bump Burton to make him lose some momentum, but he could have hesitated because of the penalty Dillon and RCR had received in Richmond. If Busch had done the same thing, it would have looked like a pattern for RCR, and they would have started to lose respect from fans, sponsors, and even NASCAR. This weekend, the teams and drivers will be heading to Darlington for the final race of the regular season. The track layout is more or less similar to the one in Richmond, so RCR and their drivers will be looking to give it everything they got to secure at least one playoff spot this year. Given that Busch is in 16th in the points table, it's very unlikely that he'll be able to qualify on just points. He'll have to win the race to get into the playoffs. To do that, he will need the best setup the team can provide and the best crew as well. Busch would have definitely gained some confidence from the previous race in Daytona. He now knows that the RCR Chevy has what it takes to win a race, so it's all or nothing for Darlington. However, if Busch makes more stupid mistakes like the one he did in Daytona, his season is over. The data the team would have collected from Richmond would help due to the similar nature of the track in Darlington, but it's not going to be easy. In the last race in Darlington, Busch crossed the line in 27th position. If Busch or Dillon do not make it into the playoffs this weekend, RCR will have reached a new low point and will be looking at how to bounce back. They will most likely use the playoff races to gather and analyze data. This will be used to develop the 2025 car and get a proper setup tune that can give Busch the best chance to win as many races as possible. But even if RCR is able to qualify for the playoffs, it's unlikely that they will make it very far. Despite their recent positive performances, Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports have just been on another level this year. It will be very difficult for Kyle Busch or Austin Dillon to keep up with the leaders throughout the playoffs. Do you think Kyle Busch or Austin Dillon can make it to the playoffs in this last race in Darlington? Post your thoughts in the comments section below.